Good morning. This is Regina Adams coming at you with another busted but blessed Big Mama Love message. So, I actually decided to do a message once this week and once last week, and that's because I understand that healing is a responsibility that is our own individual responsibility. I gave you guys an assignment last week for those of us who wanted to heal from what we have been through to meditate. And a lot of times it takes some time for you to actually not only get this message that I'm putting out to you for you to receive it, but it takes time for you to actually meditate, to feel the effects of what it is I'm talking about. So I didn't want to interrupt your healing process with another assignment. So that's why I'm taking my time now to do it once a week. This week, I'm also going to do it once a week, and I may go back to twice a week. I'm not sure, depending on what the assignments are. So, um, as we were talking about meditation last week, I was thinking about several years ago when, actually back in 98, I was hanging out with this gentleman, really sweet, wonderful man of God. Fine. Yes, he was fine. He's probably still is. I haven't seen him forever, so I know he is. Um, but I remember God telling me that this was my husband. So, because I knew I needed God to pick this person for me, really sweet person, wonderful person, but there were things that had happened in his life that um, prevented him from fully receiving what God said to him. But I held on. And even after we started going through this situation with the stalking situation in 2013, I remember in 2015, I was walking down the street in Oxnard, C Street. And I remember God talking to me, telling me to call this person. And I said, no. And we're seriously arguing as I'm walking down the street, because what I started doing originally was when I would pray with God, when I'd pray to God, when I was in my apartment or wherever I was, I would walk the floor because I always want to feel him beside me talking to me. So I would walk the floor talking to God. So now I'm out in public, excuse me, and I'm talking to God. And it's interesting because on the outside, it looks crazy because I'm walking, I hit a point, I turn and I walk back. I hit another point, turn back, well, as if I was walking in my living room talking to God. And I remember God telling me to contact this man. And I said, no. And he said, but the harder the time got for you, the more I blessed him. And I said, but he doesn't know that. And that was the end of our conversation. And then I kept walking to where I was going. And I realized that was the first time I had won an argument with God, because as much as we always want to say, oh, this is this and this, that, people have life that have dictated them to the point that even when you grow up in church, even when you have the word, even when you've studied for yourself, there's still life things that have happened to you in your personal and secret time that will still keep you from obeying God. And so after we had that conversation, a few months later, God comes back and says, close the book. Close the book, meaning there's nothing else to say. There's no more chapters to be written. There's nothing else to do. Let go and move on. And so, fine, close the book, boop, 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 move on. But I didn't find that it was that easy for me to move on. And this was in 2015, and even in my apartment in North Carolina in 2017, I'm like, Lord, why can't I let this person go. 2016, I'm sorry. I'm in North Carolina. God told me a year ago to let him go. Why can't I let him go? And so I'm in my apartment walking back and forth like I do, talking to God in my living room. And he said, because you don't want to let him go. Oh, okay. So then I realized I started telling my head that I want to let him go. I want to let him go. Because my head had to tell my heart that had held on to somebody for 17 years to let them go. And it's not that he was a bad person. He was a good person. He just wasn't my person. So I had to tell my head to tell my heart that I want to let him go. And it was after I meditated on, I want to let him go, I want to let him go, that I was able to let go. In situations where it's important for you to let people go, whether it's a good, bad, or ugly situation, sometimes we feel that the devil we know is better than the God we don't know. So we become afraid to let those people go out of our lives when we're so familiar with them that we don't know what will happen without them. And the thing to remember is to not be afraid to let go, because if God tells me to let go, then that must mean God has someone better for me, something better brewing that I can't see, but my faith has to tell me to let go. And not that he did anything wrong, it's just I was obeying God, he wasn't. Okay, fine, move on. It's hard to let go when you're so familiar. You're so comfortable. You know what to expect. But sometimes it's important for us to let go because that's a good question. Why is it important for us to let go? We let go because we don't want to stay in that mindset. Life is about maturing and becoming adults and accepting responsibility for our own healing. And as we are accepting responsibility, we are letting go of the things that would hold us back from moving forward. You cannot have a brighter future holding on to your past. And I know a lot of people want to talk about forgiveness and moving forward, but for me, forgiveness is the basic instruction for Bible. I haven't been dealing with a basic demon. I've been dealing with an advanced demon that has had their attack against me at an advantage of 51 years. They were evil 51 years before I was born, and I'm 56. So if you have that much an advantage over me, and you've impacted my life in such a way that I wonder, who am I going to be without you? I don't even wonder that. That's your implementation of your thoughts that you're trying to put in my head that I already know. I'm ready for you to go. Back to jail, wherever you came from, leave me alone. I'm ready. I'm ready to move forward. I don't have an issue with letting go, because if I was able to let go of somebody that I loved for 17 years, that was a good person, I can let go of this demon that's been actively active against me for the last 11, 12 years that I don't love, that I never obeyed, that I never listened to. You know, when we are fighting this this life is always a struggle between good and evil. And the hard part is evil seems to win because evil will not spare any unspeakable tactics to use against us to make us submit to their will. Whereas God gives us free will. And so while evil is teaching while evil is teaching good how to be evil through fear tactics or whatever unspeakable tactics, God is saying you still have free will. You still have the choice. And when you're in situations, when you've been afraid, you don't feel like you have a choice. The way you get the choice is to take your mind back. Get your mind back so then that way you can understand you have a choice. Understand the demon that you're dealing with because you understand you have a choice. The worst thing you can do is hold on to something that's not there anymore. Holding on to a love that was never there, that's not there anymore. Holding on to an evil person that's not there anymore. And yes, when it comes to evil people, and y'all know who I'm talking about, and we have to admit, oh yeah, we got our asses kicked this first go around. Drop, boom. But we're still here. And the thing we can say is, in the famous words of Black Panther, I never yielded. And as you can see, I am not dead. And I say that to encourage you so that way you can understand that just because we got our asses kicked doesn't mean we yielded. Just because we had to do some things that we didn't want to do, we had to survive, but we never yielded. And the important thing in that is forgiving yourself. Tell your mind to tell your heart to forgive yourself for the things you did because you were too afraid. Tell your mind to forgive the things you did because you didn't understand. Tell your mind to forgive the things you did because you didn't understand that you needed somebody to protect you, somebody to cover you. And because the wrong somebody stepped in before the right somebody could get to you, they had dominion over you. But now it's time for you to tell your mind you are taking back your life. And that's what this week is it's a responsibility I'm giving you to take back your own life, to be in charge of your own life, to meditate on forgiveness, meditate on letting go, meditate on whatever you need to meditate on to understand that your meditation is leading you to something better. Because it has to get better. And that's the thing that I held on to this entire struggle. When I cried, when I'm upset, when I'm fighting, when I'm fussing, I knew and I know in my heart that it's going to get better. But I also know that I have to take the steps to make it better for me. And now that I'm taking the steps to make it better for me, I'm giving you the tools for you to make it better for yourself. So use this week I pray that you implement some of the avenues I've given you to help you move past the pain, move past the trauma. Tell your mind to tell your heart whatever you need in order for you to let go and move on, so then that way you can have a better tomorrow than you did yesterday. You guys have a great day.